The average American thinks they spend $86 a month on subscriptions. The real number, when researchers make people actually add it up, is $219. That is a $133 gap every single month. Over a year, that gap alone is $1,596. And it is not because people are irresponsible. It is because the subscription model was specifically designed so that number never lands in your brain as one number. What I am going to show you today is the three-part system companies use to keep that $219 invisible, and the exact 15-minute audit that reverses it. Let's start with why the gap exists at all. Because it is not random. When researchers at C+R Research surveyed Americans about their monthly subscription spend, people guessed $86. When those same people were then forced to itemize every recurring charge, not estimate it, but actually list every service, the average came out to $219. That is a 2.5x underestimation. Not a small rounding error. 2.5 times what people thought they were paying. West Monroe's research found something even more striking. 89% of consumers underestimate their subscription costs, and 66% of those people are off by more than $200 a month. So how does a number that large stay invisible? 3 deliberate design choices, each one solving a specific psychological problem for the company. Design choice 1. The billing date scatter. You do not pay all your subscriptions on the 1st of the month. Netflix might charge the 7th, Spotify the 12th, your gym the 19th, Adobe the 23rd. They are spread across different dates, different card statements, and, increasingly, different cards. Each individual charge lands in isolation, assessed on its own, against the memory of signing up for it. The total never assembles itself in your mind, because no single moment forces the assembly. This is not an accident of billing logistics. Annual plans use it even more aggressively. One charge, buried in an end-of-year statement, that you approved 365 days ago when you were in a completely different financial moment. By the time it hits, you have forgotten you agreed to auto-renew. The billing scatter is the foundation. But here is what most people miss about design choice number 2. Design choice 2. The free trial. Loss aversion pipeline. 48% of free trial users intend to cancel before the trial ends. 48%. Almost half. And most of them do not cancel. Here is why. Behavioral economists call it loss aversion. The well-documented psychological finding that losing something feels roughly twice as painful as gaining the same thing feels good. Kahneman and Tversky, the researchers who built the foundation of behavioral economics, quantified this at approximately a 2-to-1 ratio. Companies know this. The free trial is not a generosity strategy. It is a loss aversion deployment strategy. You use the product for 14 days. You upload your data. You build a playlist or a workflow or a habit. And then the company asks you to pay. Framed not as spending money, but as not losing what you already have. Research from behavioral finance shows that framing a price as what you lose without it, rather than what you gain with it, boosts conversion by up to 32%. The free trial manufactures something to lose. Design choice 3. The friction asymmetry. Signing up for most subscriptions takes under 60 seconds. One screen, auto-filled card details, green button. Canceling the same subscription can take 4 to 7 screens, a pause instead offer, a retention specialist chat, and sometimes a phone call. This is not a UX oversight. The FTC studied the majority of subscription apps and websites and found that obstruction in the cancellation flow, making it harder to leave than to join, was one of the most common documented dark patterns in the subscription space. The asymmetry is so systematic that the FTC's click to cancel rule, which requires that cancellation be as easy as sign-up, is now taking effect in 2026, after years of industry pushback. 66.9% of subscribers have wanted to cancel a subscription but didn't. Self-Financial, 2026. Now here is the twist most people have not calculated: what that $219 gap actually costs you over time. Let's run the actual numbers. Not the monthly number, the compounded number. The average American underestimates their subscriptions by $133 a month. That is $1,596 a year, leaking out of accounts in charges too small to trigger a real decision. If instead, that $133 a month were redirected into a basic S&P 500 index fund, earning the historical average of roughly 7% after inflation, here is what it becomes. The compounded gap, $133 mothers, times 10 years at 7%, $22,200, times 20 years, $162,300. Not from extra income, from the charges already leaving your account that you never consciously approved, again, after the free trial ended. The $133 gap is not a coffee-a-day number. It is a retirement account with contributions you already make, just to the wrong place. The unused waste layer on top here is the second layer. Self-Financial's 2026 survey found that the average subscriber currently has 2.6 subscriptions going completely unused, paying for them, logging into them 0 times, 0 value delivered. The average monthly value of those unused subscriptions is $26.79. That is another $321 a year on services the person has no memory of choosing to keep. So the full picture is this: $219 actual spend, $86 perceived spend. Of that $219, roughly 26.79, about 12%, is going to services with zero usage, and 66% of people who want to cancel those services simply do not. The subscription economy is not growing because consumers love paying for things. It is growing because the system is better at collecting passive payments than consumers are at stopping them. Here is the specific 15-minute fix before we close. 3 steps, 15 minutes, tonight. 1. Open your bank statement and highlight every recurring charge for the last 60 days, including annual charges that hit once. 2. For anything you cannot immediately name what it does, cancel it before you close the browser tab. 3. For anything you want to keep, verify it is on the cheapest available tier. Most streaming and software subscriptions have a lower plan that covers most of what you actually use. The $133 gap is not a character flaw. It is a system designed by companies with engineers, behavioral scientists, and quarterly revenue targets on their side. You now know how it works. That changes the balance. If this reframed how you think about recurring charges, subscribe. It means more of this kind of breakdown lands in your feed instead of someone else's algorithm.